Good evening, RUSD family. I'm Jacqueline Perez, Assistant Superintendent of Equity Access and Community Engagement. Thank you for joining us for the Superintendent's Family and Community Update on Thursday, June 4th. Assistant Superintendent Sergio San Martin will provide a welcome and directions in Spanish.
Muy bienvenidos y buenas tardes. Tenemos una transmisión en vivo por separado para nuestra comunidad de habla hispana. Para unirse y escuchar, siga el enlace en la parte de abajo de la pantalla. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. San Martin. I'd like to introduce Board President, Mrs. Kathy Alavey. Thank you, Mrs. Alavey, for always joining us at every meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Perez. Welcome to our community meeting. I would like to begin today by acknowledging the rightful pain that our nation is going through, the legitimate hurt our African American community is feeling, and the outpouring of violence across the nation. All of these incidents and emotions are going to affect our students. Children can be very sensitive, and rightly so, to the anguish they witness around them. We at RUSD have many resources for families and students that may be of help to you and your family during these difficult times. If you need counseling, advice, or assistance, please look for the contact information in today's presentation. I also know that everybody wants information about when and how are we going to be opening up schools in August. To help us going forward, we have designed a survey which was emailed to parents and students and teachers this week. Please fill out when you see this. We truly need your feedback in order to be responsive to your expectations. The deadline is Friday, so please get that back to us as soon as possible. We at RUSD are trying very hard to listen, and now is the time you need to be heard. There will be more about this in today's presentation. Thank you to all our RUSD family. We are thinking about you, your health, and your safety. Back to you, Dr. Perez.
Thank you, Mrs. Alavey. I'd like to introduce Superintendent Dr. Hansen.
I just was going to express my gratitude to our president, Mrs. Alavey. Thank you, Mrs. Alavey, so much for those opening remarks. Absolutely. Our nation is hurting, and our local communities and families are hurting. And your well wishes and your thoughts and prayers, very well said. And again, community members, our desire is to update you regularly throughout this summer to let you know what we're going to do as we begin to start up a new school year, the school year 2021. And so you have our commitment to provide these updates to you regularly. So thank you for joining us this evening, and back to you, Dr. Perez.
Thank you, Dr. Hansen. On the screen, you'll see some of our social emotional supports that Mrs. Alavey shared. Care Solace provides 24/7 support. There's an email and number. Also video chat available in multiple languages. We also have our own resources at RUSD Wellness at that bit.ly, as well as there's a national crisis text line that you can text home to 741-741. What I'd like to do is the next slide, take a look at our agenda for this evening. We're going to be providing an updates on meal and meal distribution, enrollment, updates on summer learning and some of the programs taking place during the summertime, address some community questions, spend some time around start of school year, and close with our future community meetings. So to get us started, I'd like to welcome Assistant Superintendent Tim Walker to discuss meal distribution and enrollment in some summer programs.
Thank you, Dr. Perez. Hello to everyone. We are going to continue to provide meal distribution at the sites locations that are identified on the screen, the elementaries that are there, and all of our middle schools, Bobby Bonds, Disnovias, Don Jones, and Hunt Park. We also have service days on Monday and Wednesday. They will provide breakfast and lunch, 2 days on Monday and 3 days on Wednesday. And the time for pickup is 10:30 to 12:30. We are continuing this throughout the summer. And as of today, there are also some produce packets being handed out to our families as they bring their school-age children to the centers to pick up their lunches. Next slide. We are so excited to share the information on this slide. As of June 3rd, yesterday, we have served over 1 million meals through the Nutrition Services Department to the students in our district. In 35 serving days, we have provided at the school sites and the parks 990,879 meals. And additionally, we provide meals through Meals on Wheels, the daycare centers, and shelters, which took us to a total of 1,011,107 meals served. On behalf of the board, superintendent, and all of the people in the Riverside Unified School District, I want to extend thanks to the nutrition services personnel and leadership, and all of those on the front lines who have responsibilities for the creation, distribution, and the serving of these meals to our students in the Riverside Unified School District. This is an unbelievable accomplishment. Next slide, please. For 2021 TK through 12th grade, new students to RUSD, we continue to have enrollment at the Central Registration Center at 5700 Arlington Avenue between the hours of 9 and 3, Tuesday through Friday of each week. We have extended our services at this point in time out through June 24th, which assisted us in providing 640 additional spots for people to make an appointment to come in for services. So far, we have held over 1,600 appointments, and we've had 10,000 views at the website that gives instructions on information related to enrollment. As you can see in the overview, we want to ask people to fill out their packets before they come. We are providing a very safe and sanitary area at the Central Registration Center, serving all of our schools at this point in time. We have 2 teams of 10 who come in 2 days a week each to provide the face-to-face opportunity for our community to enroll their students. Phase 1 is done, and we're now in phase 2, which will continue until we are no longer being asked to provide any enrollment schedules. So back to you, Dr. Perez.
Not just yet, Mr. Walker. Go ahead and provide some context for summer programs and extended school year on the next slide.
Okay. So the extended school year serves pre-K through adult transition students with disabilities. Participation is determined by the student's individualized educational program plan, and the program will begin on the 8th of June and continue through July 2nd. We currently have 524 students enrolled. The services provided are academic instruction and the related services that are necessary for these students. They'll be provided using Google Classroom and Google Meets in a similar manner to that which was provided during the distant learning through recorded lessons, as well as small groups and some outreach to families. Our overall focus is to connect with and support our students and families, as well as to minimize the regression of our students with disabilities during the summertime until we get back into an instructional program in the fall.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I'd like to introduce Dr. Lewis to provide a little bit more information on summer learning.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Perez. Good afternoon, everyone. We're very excited to offer 2 robust summer program offerings to try and help students and help parents provide additional support that they may feel is needed, as well as work with high school students to earn credit-bearing courses. So the first thing I would like to talk to you about, any preschool through 8th grade student who would just like additional enrichment. You still have your device, you still have access. You'll see there is the website that we've used for at-home resources that will continue to be available to everyone throughout the month of June. and the month of July. So feel free to log in. There are lots of different enrichment opportunities. As we progress into the kindergarten through 8th grade summer program, we're going to focus in the area of mathematics. So starting June 8th through the 26th, we will offer a daily math instruction to nearly 2,000 students, kindergarten through 8th grade, taught by our teachers. They will then be assigning work that students will practice those skills, and that'll be monitored by both school principals and classroom teachers, as well as math support. And we're focusing on that, on mathematics, because we know that is probably for elementary age students some of the most difficult learning. And through COVID, that's an area we have to provide support. But we also know that we need for social emotional support. So if we have any of our kindergarten through 8th grade students who desire support, or parents who desire support for their students, that will be provided as well. Feel free to log into that website and get that additional information. The other part that you'll be receiving is all of those nearly 2,000 students involved. You will be receiving an email from your summer school teacher or your summer school principal providing additional information on schedules, access through Google Meets and Google Classroom, and accordingly. Moving on to the high school program, we have 2 semesters where students in grades 10 through 12 in the fall will be taking 10 days for semester 1 and 10 days for semester 2. We have approximately 3,200 students already enrolled for semester 1 that will run June 1st through June 12th in the areas of language arts, mathematics, history, Spanish, PE, and art. And that is for students who have to work on credit recovery, they need a grade improvement, or they have impacted schedules in the fall and they're not able to fit all their courses in. If you are a student and you have not heard from your summer school teacher for whatever reason, you can reach us at summerschool@riversideunified.org and send an email with your request, and staff will get back to you readily in a timely fashion. And for elementary K through 8, you'll see there is a phone number for support as well as an email for our teacher on assignment who will be leading our summer program. That's szutel@riversideunified.org. So we're excited. If there's any questions you have, feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to answer those. If you need support or help or devices, I'd like to turn it over to our Director of Innovation and Technology, Mr. Steve Dunlap, to talk about how you can receive that support. Steve.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Yes, in order to support our students in their summer learning, RUSD is going to continue to support with devices and hotspots. As of now, we've handed out 300 hotspots to our students, especially those students in our high school programs. I do want to let you know that we do have devices and hotspots still available for those students who are engaging in summer work and summer learning. If you need a device or a hotspot, please reach out to your summer school principal and we'll make arrangements to get you those tools you need. During the summer, if you are in need of technical support with your Chromebook, with your hotspot, or you're having a problem in Google Classroom, please call the number on the screen, 951-208-7185, or email us at support@riversideunified.org, and one of our team members will be there to support you and assist you in your technology needs over the summer. And I will send it back to Dr. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Dunlap. So now it's time for us to review some of the community questions. What we went ahead and did, and first off, thank you for all of your questions that you submitted, is we grouped them by category so that we could provide a little bit easier responses back to you. So we'll respond to them throughout the next series of slides. And really the questions, the categories that came up most frequently were questions around health and safety, opening of schools, teaching and learning, parent and family input, and Mrs. Alavie and Dr. Hansen spoke of our survey that went out this week, as well as school facilities. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce and have Dr. Hansen come back up and begin sharing some information around the start of the school year.
Thank you, Dr. Perez. And yes, we are starting the new school year, but before we just jump in, let me just say we're grateful to you for all your support and patience as we close the school year. Not exactly how any of us intended to close it, but we are grateful for your patience, and as far as our chance to recognize the kids with drive-through graduations, of course, with the virtual graduation. I know individual schools did some videos, they did letters home. You turn your supplies back in. Parents, thank you very much. So it's hard to believe less than a week's gone by, and now we're talking about opening the school year, but we need to. We have a lot of planning to do before we open up this school year. And we may have mentioned to you in the past, but our county superintendent, Dr. Judy White, organized a task force about 3 weeks ago. And there are 23 counties in our school district, And all of us have a seat on that task force. Several of us in Riverside unified are on that task force. And there's going to be a document released next week providing local districts guidelines, local boards, local superintendents, local cities, as how to best open up the school year and the different scenarios to plan for. You can see here on the screen in blue, those are the 6 committees that we've all been participating on the county task force. Next slide. At the same time, our school board and cabinet quickly learned that we needed to have our own RUSD Open School Year Task Force. And so we organized that and started the work a few weeks ago simultaneously with the county. And our purpose, you can see there in red, is to implement some specific key actions for the new school year. And we have action teams in place, and those are our 6 working groups, if you will, from health and safety, teaching and learning, personnel, operations, fiscal, and communications. And some of the things that we're focused on is clearly at the forefront is protection for all students and staff. We're discussing masks if necessary, the PPE type masks, or the sanitation on a regular basis several times throughout the day. These task forces are going to be discussing mental health because we know that we need to take care of our kids as well as the adults, their mental health. What the school schedule is going to look like. Clearly, high quality instruction is an issue and that we need to talk about. We've started discussions on all the co and extracurricular activities, particularly at the high school as it relates to CIF, and there's a group studying those. Clearly, every day I mentioned there's the whole cleaning, the school cleaning, the deep cleaning every night that we do, and what more do we need to do to enhance that. With our government, our governor, and our state, and our budget crisis now we find ourselves in because of COVID-19 and then the most recent violence our nation has been seeing, the budget and budget reductions is going to be discussed. We're going to know more about that come July 15th, because you'll recall that our Governor Newsom extended the tax filing deadline from April 15th to July 15th. And so the budget we have today will not be the budget that we have on July the 16th when another one comes out. And then, as I mentioned in my opening comments, communications. The Board of Education has directed staff to regularly provide updates to you, our community, our students, our parents, our community leaders, as to where we're going. And so we have built in several of these community meetings and other forms of a way to communicate with you throughout the summer. So just want to let you know that. Next slide. We need your voice. We have a lot of voices on this RUSD task force. We have student voice, we have community leader voice, we have staff voice, we have parent voice, and even our health providers and legal teams. So these are the different stakeholders that are joining us. I have asked Dr. Ryan Lewis to serve as the point of that committee, along with Dr. Jackie Perez. They're going to be working together, and meetings have already started. And we have a timeline as to how we're going to roll this out and share things with you. And I'd like Dr. Lewis to come on and talk a little bit more about the committee and its makeup and when you can expect to hear more from us. So Dr. Lewis.
Thank you, Dr. Hansen. As Dr. Hansen stated, there are a team of us that are leading the work forward to best prepare our community and our Board of Education and our families and students as we enter the fall in unknown time. We're not certain of where this is going, but we are certain that we will have a team approach and we will take all voices to help plan moving forward. So as Dr. Hansen spoke about stakeholders, just wanted to extend our gratitude to everyone who has expressed interest to help. We have been taking note of all of the names from staff, from certificated, from classified, from administrators, from parents, from students. And again, just want to thank everyone. While we may not be able to include everyone on our action teams, we definitely need your voice in the survey. So please make sure, as you heard Mrs. Alavi speak this morning or this afternoon about the surveys that were put out, please make sure you submit your voice. Please make sure we have your input. All of those surveys will be leading this work forward. So thank you for doing that. Next slide, please. So as we look at the stakeholders, we have a few guiding principles that we will need to keep in mind. Number one, we are going to learn and make sure we are current through Mr. Walker's leadership with all of our CDC, state, and local parameters. Knowing we may have different or changing parameters, we will definitely stay current, but the CDC and governance will be leading us forward. And as we approach the committees, we'll be doing that from an equitable lens. And we will look at for all students and for all families and how we best support everyone in our community. Communication will be, Dr. Perez will be communicating, and Dr. Hansen and Mrs. Alavi regularly with the community. We'll have ongoing updates, we'll have ongoing webinars like this one, and we'll have ongoing information via social media. And then lastly, we'll have a systematic approach. So all of the committees will be working, while we're working asynchronously of each other, we'll be working towards that common goal as we head to the fall of what will look like in a virtual environment, or what will it look like if we're able to have students actually return to school in the most safe and appropriate way possible. So as we keep those guiding principles in mind, now we'll talk about timeline. Timeline of the survey will be concluded on the Friday, and action teams have already begun being put together. If you did submit interest in being on an action team, you will be contacted early next week by the lead of that team and notified of upcoming meetings that will last the month of June. Unfortunately, we have many names that we might not be able to include everybody. So if you're not contacted and put on a team, we apologize, but we are limited for the numbers that we'll be able to make as part of our action teams going forward. But we'll be doing that work through the month of June. We'll provide a board update on June 16th. That will just be an overview of progress we're making, so make sure you turn into that board meeting. Then we'll be adjusting along the way if anything does change based on CDC or state or local guidelines, bringing us to the July 21st final recommendation that we'll be bringing to the Board of Education. And then before you know it, we'll be to the fall, whether that be August as our regular start or whether that's a virtual environment, it will be here before we know it. And again, all of these timeframes are to the best of our ability right now, but we will adjust as necessary based on the guidance coming forward. So we will continue to keep you informed and update you along the way. And thank you again for everybody willing to participate. Dr. Perez, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. And thank you for wrapping us up. This is such great information. So on the next slide, you'll be able to see that we do have a few more community meetings scheduled throughout the summer. But keep in mind, this is just one way that we're providing some information. We'll also be sending out emails and keeping the website updated. So at this time, I'd like to welcome President Alavi and Dr. Hansen for any comments to close us up.
I'll jump in here. Thank you, Dr. Perez. Some of you may have noticed that Jackie Perez has been moderating this tonight, and grateful to her. Lynn Carmaday, our Chief Academic Officer, who's done this since March, she's not with us currently. Maybe you've heard that, maybe you haven't heard, but Lynn is the new superintendent in Upland Unified School District. And we want to express our gratitude to her. And as she is in this transition between RUSD and Upland Unified School District, certainly Jackie is filling in and doing a wonderful job. Our new Chief Academic Officer is going to be Renee Hill. She has been in RUSD for many, many years. And although she retired a few years ago, we're bringing her out of retirement. The best ones always come back from retirement, and she's going to assume that role of Chief Academic Officer on July 1. And so from now until July 1, again, grateful for the members of cabinet like Dr. Perez, who's stepping up and filling in as we have this gap. So I just want to extend my appreciation to Dr. Perez, Dr. Lewis, Mr. Walker, who's here, and all the members of the team that is working so hard to close out the school year, provide a summer program, feed our kids during the summer, and open the school year. We will know more as we go. And the dates that Jackie just shared with you, we can even pivot and change those, and we can include more if we need to. But for now, we'll stick with those 3 dates that she shared with you. And you're certainly always welcome to reach out to any one of us via email or phone, and we can answer your individual questions. I don't know if Mrs. Alavi has anything else to add. If not, we can go ahead and I'll turn it back to you. But Mrs. Alavi, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. And I just wanted to say, again, thank you to everybody. We definitely want to reiterate that we would like to hear your opinions. So please fill out the survey, and we look forward to hearing all of your ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Alavi. And in closing, just know that we see you, we hear you, and we're with you. Stay safe. Good night.